Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and tonight Paul Simon is back, and we are going to take a look at the band Letters to Cleo. So without any further ado, let's get this cranking.
Talking bands that no one talks about. Grant's Rock Warehouse.
Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and tonight I want to welcome Paul Simon to the show. Tonight we are talking about the band Letters to Cleo, and if anybody knows Paul, he's a big Rush fan, and he's a big Letters to Cleo fan. And they put out 3 albums before they disbanded. They started out in the early 90s. Aurora Glorialis. Did I say it right? God, I can't say that word, but that sentence, but it's okay. Was their full-length debut. They got signed to Giant. It was released independently. They had a big single back in 94 called Here and Now. Now, let's be honest, the biggest record was the debut. And as they kept putting records out, even though I like all the records, they continued to sell less and less. And finally, they just broke up in 2000. But during that sweet time period, they put out 3 records. So Paul's here tonight. We're going to talk about those records and just do like a career retrospective, if you may. We'll look at the 3 records, give our reviews and what we think of them, and go from there. We'll go an hour, just have a general discussion. Everybody who watches this channel, you know how we do it. So, Paul, how in the hell are you?
I am outstanding, and studying even more into this band than I already knew has been a labor of love. And key to the word labor, I will not sit here and say, oh, I've loved them since day one. I'm not that person. That is not me. I heard them on the radio in the 90s. I heard you couldn't escape Here and Now. I will admit, in college, I watched a little bit of Melrose Place. So I heard Here and Now, at the end of each episode, season 1, I believe. But I didn't know their backstory. They were big in the Boston scene. The Boston scene, they're from Dorchester. I got to make sure I say that right. And I heard Awake, and I heard Co-Pilot. I saw The Craft, so I heard their cover of The Car's Dangerous Type. Did not know that Greg Hawkes played on that. They asked for him, and he happily flew out to LA for it. Didn't know any of that. Did not know the stuff they did and what each of them did after they broke up in 2000. I got into them when they got back together for the second time in 2016 for the EP Back to Nebraska, and that actually had a huge influence on my personal life. That's when I started doing the deep dive back into their career. And I bought Aurora Borealis and went, this is phenomenal.
So you bought the Nebraska EP. That's what you got first.
Yes.
But of course, you were aware of them.
I knew who they were.
Alternative.
I was playing them on, I wasn't playing my college radio, but I was listening to them at the same time I was going to Columbia College in Chicago. So I was aware of them on the scene, but I wasn't into them. I didn't get into them until my 40s.
Well, back in the day, we're going to go back in a time machine, ladies and gentlemen, because we do that here in the warehouse, because we do live in the past here. I got that first album when it came out. There was a station in Columbus called CD 101 that played that constantly. I mean, it was a big track. And I bought that first album. But, in one of my purges, Paul, we've all had them when we were younger. I purged it and traded it in or whatever. One of those things.
I know the history now, so I could tell you how they rose to popularity.
Well, let's talk about it.
Step by step. Absolutely.
Go ahead. Take it away.
The origins. In 1988 in Dorchester, Greg McKenna and Katie Hanley grew up a couple doors down from each other. Actually, turns out they're distant cousins. They didn't find that out till later. Mm-hmm. But they ended up forming a band called Rebecca Lula. It was a ska band, actually. Greg was really into ska. Kay wanted to be in a band, so they started off that way. Went through some personnel changes, ended up doing a total revamp of everything in 1990 or so, give or take. They ended up changing it up, doing the rock thing, alternative, and they really firmed up the lineup where they picked up guitarist Michael Eisenstein, who picked up the nickname USA Mike because he used to wear an American flag pins all sparkly, so Kay called him USA Mike, and that nickname stuck. Drummer Stacy Jones and bassist Scott, and I apologize if it's Riebling or Riebling. Thank you. Riebling.
I think it's Riebling.
That I never knew because, again, got into them long after he had decided to go into producing later. Mm-hmm. So, Riebling, thank you. So, they formed the actual lineup for Letters to Cleo. So 1990, they did a cassette release called Sister on their own Rebecca Lula thing. That's one thing I was not be able to independently verify, but I did pick that up along the way. Sister would get re-released in 98 with 7 tracks from that, 3 tracks of Live Rarities, and a cover of Dreams from Fleetwood Mac, which I did not hear until like 3 days ago. So just to catch up on how I'm still learning. I'm always digging.
You know what, Paul? We're always learning. When we're talking music, I take something away, you take something away. Look, this whole process is about learning. So anyway, yeah.
You know me and my research. You call me a machine. I'm always learning something.
Well, if anybody knows, he was on that Styx episode with Todd Evans, and he was a machine. I'm just going to say.
So they're all keeping their day jobs, and then Thursday night after working a double, then over the weekend they'll hit DC, they'll hit New York, they'll hit Philly, they'll do shows all weekend, then they come back after the weekend and go back to their job. So they are the perfect example of, if you don't try, it's not going to happen. So go out and do. So that is definitely, if there's any lesson to be learned here, it's keep busting your ass, keep working at it. Meantime, you've got college radio stations are picking up, main stations on the East Coast are picking them up. So they're building a following. And I imagine, being in Ohio, it's reaching there. They end up getting picked up by a local label, Cherry Disc. That's why this is the 30th anniversary. Is in 93, they get picked up by Cherry Disc, and Aurora Borealis gets made and released in 93.
Mm-hmm.
Then IC is released, and this is a re-release. I do not own any of the originals from the 90s. These are all re-releases that I own.
Oh, Paul, I'll be all right.
IC is released as the single from the Cherry Disc release.
Mm-hmm.
So that gets major play. Now you've also got the internet, and you've got IRC boards and all that. So that's getting word of mouth going too. So in southern markets and eastern markets, they're getting big. In March of 94, what really broke them was Front Page of Billboard did a review of the Cherry Disc release of Aurora Borealis. Front page review, glowing review, the day before they played South by Southwest in Austin. So,
oh my God, wait a minute. Let me think about this. You said South by Southwest in Austin, and that would be what, 94?
94, March of 94.
March of 94. Okay.
So
this is like a deja vu moment for me. Go ahead.
They were supposed to play it a couple times, and it kept getting canceled, or they got canceled or something. I wasn't able to dig deeper on that one. But they make it March of 94, the day before they go. So their manager, and by the way, Michael Creamer's been their manager their entire career. So loyalty, hard work, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So their manager and their booking agent take that front page review, mimeograph it, and start passing it out at where all the record execs are.
Yeah. And
that prompts a bidding war for them, and they're getting taken out, and hey, let's talk. Next thing you know, they get signed by Giant Records, and I know you're big on labels. I don't always pick up on these things, but I did a little bit of research. So Giant Records signs them, division of Warner Brothers. So that's who they go with. So Aurora gets re-released in fall of 94. Now this timing is going to come into it.
Mm-hmm.
They release Here and Now as the single. So now you've got MTV, Heavy Rotation, The Buzz Bin. I found an interview with Louis Largent. I found all the press. Here goes back to the hard work thing. Okay, tracks before I forget. Big Star. So obviously, an opening track, yes.
Great opening track.
And obviously, you know who their influences are.
Yeah.
I see is there. Rim Shack. Things I Did Not Know. I love this whole album. I had no idea. Flip the spelling backwards. Rim Shack gets its name, Kashmir. Cute.
That is cute. I like it.
Mike said if you play the chorus to Kashmir over the chorus to Rim Shack, it fits. It's not a ripoff or anything. It's just an influence. He said it kind of fits the progression.
Yeah, I get it. You know what, I was just looking up because you were mentioning the whole being signed to Giant.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and nobody realizes this, that the Cherry Disc CD, that really did come out on CD first, and I was looking it up because, like I said, I bought the CD back in the day. And for the life of me, Paul, I couldn't remember if I had the giant CD or the cherry, which version. But now when I look it up, I had the giant reissue, and that's what I rebought. I mean, I don't know how plentiful the cherry disc version of it is, but yeah, they totally kind of redesigned it. So, but if you're looking at it in the wild, you'll find it because it pops up. But yeah, I had the giant version anyway. But
I may go hunting.
But I think maybe Giant was where things really took off because they could, like you said, it was what, Time Warner? It was Warner.
Oh, it was.
So they would have that push to get the record out there. And that's probably when I started hearing it back in 94.
It was.
Because,
It was.
I'm 1,000 years old and I have to rebuild all my thought processes because that was a long time ago. And I'm trying to think, when did I hear it? And I know I heard it on that alternative station. Had to be 94 and had to be that giant CD. So yeah. I don't, and you know what, Paul, I don't know what the hell I'm going on. That doesn't mean jack shit, but whatever. I'm just throwing it into the conversation.
Well, that's what got a Melrose Place. Is what's funny is they were they asked to be on that. That's one part of the story I absolutely love is they asked to be put on that because they found out that not only did they watch it, but they found out that Paul Westerberg and Dinosaur Jr., the minute they heard Westerberg, they're like, please, can we please be on that? Mm-hmm. And then they thought they'd be like at the tail end of the soundtrack and all that. And the song was such a hit, they went, and it resonated so well with the producers or whoever, they went, let's feature this. Mm-hmm. And suddenly, boom, they skyrocket.
And so they were playing Here and Now on there, right?
Yeah.
Did they play any other tracks or was it just that?
And that's going to be a big, big part of the story is the fact that, and you asked me to look at this and I see Melly's coming over and I see Step Back and Come Around and Wasted. And it's like, man, there are so many songs that could have, but Here and Now and Here and Now's great. It's something else I learned. I had no idea that song was, again, something else I couldn't independently verify. I heard it from one source, but that it was, I heard it somewhere it was influenced by The Comfort of Strangers by Ian McEwan. I'm like, I never, ever would have put that together. So I'd love to verify that. That is a creepy.
And just a quick question while I'm thinking about it. Now, you know, some of us, the people that probably watch the show are going, well, there's different versions of this. Was the giant release was it an exact clone of the Cherry
To
disc?
my knowledge, yes.
It wasn't remixed or anything, right?
Not to my knowledge, no, because Mike Deneen was their producer. Well, you know what? I cannot say 100% for sure.
Well, what I've looked, I haven't seen anything that said it was different or anything. But, sometimes these bands, they put out an independent release. Mm-hmm. They get signed to a major.
Yeah.
They revamp stuff. You know what I mean? But
oh, no, I do know that. So I'm not.
This record is so
I don't want to say it be wrong.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was a clone of what came out. I mean, it stood on its own. I don't think anything needed done anyway. So,
yeah.
But you never know.
I always knew Mike Deneen as their longtime producer and all that. So,
okay.
So, yeah, but here's the thing. Here and Now was such a big hit. It was no second single was released, but in the meantime, they were touring almost nonstop. So, what have you and I, with all the talking and all the conversations we've had, what do they run into? They're still writing new material. Mm-hmm. Now they've got an album's worth of material. Fast forward to August 1st of 95. We've got Wholesale Meets Fish.
Is that an original vinyl pressing?
No, this is a re-release.
Damn it. You're supposed to say yes.
No.
Yes, it is. Okay.
I cannot.
Well, to be quite honest, I've never seen that on vinyl ever. So it could have been, that was when vinyl, well, think about it. We're talking 95, 96. They weren't really pressing anything, but
right.
Still the Foo Fighters were able to get something cranked out. Just saying, but you never know. So it could have been original pressing for all that matters.
All these songs have been road tested. Now, you had mentioned the steady decline in sales. It's a very real thing. They're the first to admit they're not going to blow sunshine. This is I've met them numerous times at meet and greets. That's part of my story, which we'll get. Believe me, stay tuned. We'll get there. So very realistically, they're like, look, we've been working on these songs. We've been playing them live. Let's get this out there. And okay, but they're the Here and Now band.
Well, do you think? Okay, let me ask you this, because I'm
Yeah.
going to go on. And the second album is stronger than the first album in my eyes.
I agree 150%.
I mean, we can get into that, but let me throw this out to you. Do you think that Here and Now was okay? I've talked about this on different shows. Okay, let's look at Night Ranger. Pete Pardo, we talked about Night Ranger.
Yep.
Sister Christian.
Yep.
Was that a curse or was that a gift from God?
I'll say more
Here
blessing
Now,
than curse.
Was that a curse or was
I don't believe
that...
it was a curse.
Okay.
I think the timing, excuse me, I believe the timing was, I can't even say unfortunate. That's not even accurate. I don't think it was a curse. I don't believe Here and Now is a curse.
But do you think they got pigeonholed that everything should sound like that? No?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't. Not in this instance.
Okay.
I think that because it doesn't sound incredibly different. There's a little bit of a
second album's
difference.
a lot more. I think that the second album's a lot more cohesive. The guitars are a bit louder. The guitars are a little bit more.
One of the things I love most about them is Greg and Mike's playing style is so cohesive. You nailed it. That's what got me pretty much addicted to them is Greg and Mike's guitar style together, and then Kay's vocals. The vocal melodies specifically, not even the lyrics. You know how much of a lyric junkie I am, and I love their lyrics, but the vocal melodies and then the music, the way they tie together is what I love most about their music.
Yeah. Well, and I think on the second record, I think Kay has much more of a presence, a much more command.
Agreed.
How should I want to say it? She sounds a lot more powerful on that second record as opposed to the first one.
Big Star's a great opener. Demon Rock, absolutely. They used to open the shows with it.
Well, Big Star. Well, if you're looking at the first record, Big Star's great. I See is a classic, and of course, Here and Now. The whole. If we're looking at if there was a side one to this, it's great. But the thing is, the band grew. They played gigs, like you said. They took these tracks, they played them out on the road. They fine-tuned them, and what you get is a better version of Letters to Cleo on that second record. Much more hard-hitting, much more impactful. Now, I can't speak for the audience buying records. I mean, we're also talking things could change over that year. You know what I mean?
I do, but that's why I'm saying it was in such a short time. I don't know how good an analogy this is going to be, but when we talked about Mr. Mister, going from Welcome to the Real World to Go On, it's not as drastic as those two.
That's drastic.
That's drastic. But the shift from Aurora Borealis to Wholesale Meat and Fish, it's a lot more subtle. But say you're going from Kyrie to, I don't say Healing Waters. I don't know.
This is how I look at it. And
a whole nother album. Maybe that's it. A whole nother album.
But think about
much more material.
Think about the time period we're in. And this is not a criticism at all. Like I said, I like the second album better.
So do I.
It seems like the first album's a lot more alternative I don't even know how to say it.
And this one's more
I don't want to say jangle rock. It's a lot more. If anything, I want to say that the second album sounds a bit more grungier. That's not really what I want to say.
No, I think I know where you're going with this, though. Let me think.
But we're in that time period.
If the first one has its roots, I think I know how to go with this.
Okay,
if the first one has its roots more in 60s and 70s influences, this one has its roots more in 70s and 90s.
The first one's more power pop. The second one is more harder rock, but it's not hard rock.
Yes. Yeah.
The first album, they start off with Big Star, which is, Big Star's a power pop. That's a power pop song. The songs on the first album are a lot more power pop.
And this has more edge. And this has more edge.
There you go.
There you go. I agree.
Okay.
The difference between Big Star and Demon Rock is really all you got to do. Put those two songs side by side. That is there's a harder edge to Demon Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Those are your two openers. There's a harder edge to Demon Rock.
The other thing is we've got that second album. And, the first album, out indie, Giant signed them, which is Warner Brothers, okay? Mm-hmm. Pushed it probably a lot more. I don't know. I don't remember any push for that second album or anything.
And here's why. You're going to love this, because this always comes up for some strange reason. We can really pick them. The personnel changes at the label.
Oh, there you go.
And what's his name? Irving Asoff? Is that his name?
Well, he was up there. Irving was way up there.
They become Revolution Records.
Okay. Well, Paul, it's a Matthew Sweet story. Matthew Sweet on A&M.
There you go.
Produced Girlfriend for A&M. They had people leave at A&M. The people, according to Scott Byron, his A&R rep, the people that were his champions at A&M left. He had no one to fight for him, even though Girlfriend is a great record. It sat on the shelf at A&M for a year and a half, a year, until Zoo picked it up. We've got a similar situation here. The people, the suits changed at Giant, and it is in that kind of that same era. They didn't have anybody fighting for them. They had no champion.
Yep.
So they put it out. Well, they had to put it out. They have a contract to put it out. But back in the day, yeah, I knew the first record. Oh, yeah, of course I knew that. But that second record, it probably went to the cutout bins. In fact, the one I think I have, because I found a used copy of it, I think it's got a cutout in it. You know, it didn't do anything. And the band probably was just absolutely shaken.
They were. So I've got the history. So
okay, go ahead.
Band takes a year off. In the meantime, Stacey Jones joins Veruca Salt. They bring in Tom Polche on drums. Now, here's where I'm not going to get this exact chronology, but in that year, in the meantime, Ralph Saul calls. This I know I got wrong time-wise. They do Jesus Christ Superstar in Boston. Gary Cherone does Jesus. Kay ends up doing Mary Magdalene.
With the guy from Extreme?
Theater. Yes.
Okay. All right.
But while I'm drawing, I'm going to go all the way back. Here's my ADHD really kicking into overdrive.
Oh, super.
Kay grew up across the street from Mark and Donnie Wahlberg, by the way.
I didn't know
we're doing
that.
the Boston tie-in. So anyway, but yeah, so no, Gary Cherone did Jesus Christ Superstar. That I knew way back in the day, and we will be, stay tuned to the Warehouse. We'll be talking Extreme very soon.
Oh yeah, that's right. There is, yeah.
So I had to bring that up. But in the meantime, yeah, Kay decides in their time off, she's going to try this one-off musical theater thing, and she's Mary Magdalene in the production of Jesus Christ Superstar. Okay. So she and Gary stayed friends. So the whole Boston thing. So, and as of this taping, I will be driving to there to see the Letters to Cleo homecoming show. But anyway.
See, I told you, everybody, he's hardcore.
Yeah. It's 20,000 miles. What the hell?
Well, so, you're young. You can do it.
Exactly. So they regroup. Ralph Saul calls. Now, Ralph Saul was a TV exec at Fox. He was known as the guy. He did the Schoolhouse Rock remakes. Oh, Blind Melon and all those. So he also did soundtracks. And for The Craft, they called and they did Letters Cleo ended up doing Dangerous Type from the Cars. So since they were recording that, they said, hey, can we get Greg Hawkes, because they didn't have a keyboard player, can we get Greg Hawkes from the Cars to do keys? So they arranged to have him asked, and Greg Hawkes said, absolutely. So that's how they met Greg Hawkes. So that comes out for the soundtrack, and so they go back in the studio for their next album. They get Tom Polche as their new drummer, and produced by Peter Collins, who had just recently worked, with Test for Echo for Rush. So they do Go.
Okay, now before we go to Go,
yes,
what happened with Giant? Because they're on a new label. They're on Revolution.
Revolution is the new name.
Okay. But you can't tell that though.
No.
It looks like, it depends upon where you look. They'll say, yeah, they got a new label. But they were just, Revolution is that. They just got sucked into that.
Yeah.
So to speak. Just to make sure we're all good. Original pressing?
Nope.
Okay.
I cannot tell a lie.
Well, I don't think it ever came out on vinyl, so we're
I doubt
pushing
it.
it.
Yeah.
Came out in vinyl in 2017.
Yep.
So
And that's the year on mine. Yep.
anyway, go ahead.
So, so they for the song Anchor, they end up getting their new good friend Greg Hawkes to play on it.
Yeah,
So, yep.
it's good.
So, Copilot, which had been road tested, had been around for a bit, that made it. I Got Time, Because of You, Veda Very Shining. That is a live staple. Matter of fact, I know it's one of Kay's favorites. I heard a recent excellent interview with, Brian Coldane, I think it was. Sparkle Girl is a classic. I'm a Fool. Go, obviously. But yeah, and Tom, excellent addition as a drummer. And really
Good
cool
drummer.
guy. He had, yeah, amazing. So that happens. But again, the sales, not really there.
To be honest, I've never I told you this like a couple of months ago. I said, when we're going through the bins, because we talked about Letters to Cleo. And I went through, I said, well, yeah, I found this in the dollar bin. And I'd never seen it before. Paul, I'd never seen it before in my life. And I thought, well, Letters to Cleo. I know Letters to Cleo. Because you really, when I'm out in the wild, I don't see a lot of Letters to Cleo pop up. And I thought, well, what the hell, a dollar, for God's sakes. Great record. Holy crap. Now, I don't know if it's as good as the second record, which I think is their crowning achievement.
So do I.
But
Until
it's a good record.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Okay, so in the meantime, I'm going to fast forward a little bit or go over a couple of things. Sister gets released. You would know better than I do, but probably an obligatory thing. Sister gets released in 98. I do not own it. Like I said, I didn't know it existed until a couple days ago. So shows how much I know.
Well, I know it got reissued, but
yeah.
I take that back, Paul. I take that back. Because when I saw this in the cheapy bin, Sister was in the cheapy bin too, and I didn't buy it.
I didn't know it existed, so you got me on that one.
And I bet you I really screwed up, because I bet it's not cheap.
It probably isn't. I don't know.
No, it's cheap. $5. You can get one for $5. But still, I think that's, and that one I have never heard. Have you heard it? Can you make a
No, I didn't know. Like I said, a couple days ago.
But you know it was out, but you didn't know it was like reissued.
Right.
But I've never heard it.
Yeah.
Okay. I probably ought to make a point to get that too.
So anyway. Kay and Mike get married. Band's kind of slowing down. They get a call as far as 10 Things I Hate About You, the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm pretty sure that's another Ralph Saul connection thing too. So they end up doing not one, not two, not three, 4 songs get featured. A call comes in. They're filming, I think, between Seattle and LA, and it comes up that they need a band for the actual movie. So the director says, send me, or the casting director, whoever, says, send me a picture of the band. Maybe we can use them. Next thing you know, they're in the movie, and they become Julia Stiles' character's favorite band. So it's So Cruel to Be Kind, the Nick Lowe song. They do the cover of that. They do the Cheap Trick cover. Then they use, pretty sure it's Copilot and Come On. So you got 4 songs used in the movie to make the soundtrack, 2 covers. Then they do their final show in May of 2000. Then they decide to call it quits.
So what was the reason to call it quits? Do you know? Was it because of lack of sales?
I think just overall they decided to run its course. It wasn't a big explosion. Wow. There's no whatever. It was just, okay, this is where we're going.
I think that whole shakeup with Giant, I think that probably had a lot to do with it. But whatever.
Yeah, there was no explosion, no nothing. I think it was just run its course. They all go do their own things. Kay at some point does solo albums. I've got 1 reissue. I know she did 2. I've got 1 reissue here.
So yeah, also about that. I haven't heard it.
I'm sorry.
It got good reviews.
Yeah, this is the 2 reissued as double.
Okay.
So it's the 2 unopened. So I've not done the deep dive into it, but 1 produced by Mike Deneen, 1 produced by Mike Eisenstein.
Okay.
So, cool thing about Kay and Mike, while they did not stay married, they raised their kids. Mm-hmm. But they've always stayed friends and coworkers and still write music together up to and including this day, still perform. Very cool. Always dug that.
That's cool.
That being said, in the meantime, Kay starts writing for animation. And she said specifically in an interview, she says she does not write kids' songs. She writes songs for animation, but Doc McStuffins and a couple other things for various shows. They do reunite briefly in 2008. Scott does not choose to participate. He's doing the producer thing, but gives his blessing to Joe Klumpus to join. So, and Joe's the only bassist I've ever known, because I told you I got into them.
You got him later, yeah.
So he's the only bassist I've ever seen live with them, or known as their bassist, as many times as I've seen him now.
Well, so, yeah, he's been in there. Well,
yeah. Right. So, but that was just for the year 2008. Initially, because it was a gig for a fundraiser for a longtime fan. So, but that was just for 2008. Then everyone goes back to doing their own thing. Fast forward to 2016, and like everybody had been doing their own thing. 2016, they decide to get back together and write just a couple of songs. That turns into Back to Nebraska.
Yeah, now that's expensive.
This is the one I got to tell everybody to get your hands on, listen to whatever. It's only 5 songs, but all 5 are amazing.
I know you've mentioned that.
Yeah. So this
Discogs, cheapest on Discogs is 33. There's one for 39. There's one for 53, and it's sealed. Yeah, it's not cheap. You can't just go out and
I got 4 of them. Go figure.
On CD?
No.
I'm looking at CD. Okay, let's look at vinyl real quick.
I've got 2 on CD.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, vinyl's a little bit better. 20 all the way up to $88. And the one for 88's mint sealed. It said no postcard on it. I'm not sure what that means. But even there's another pressing, $38. Autographed and sealed, you can get one for $38. But obviously it's not cheap, ladies and gentlemen, for an EP. So
no, and the rest of mine are autographed and framed and all that good stuff too.
Well,
so
that's because you're cool.
I'm also never parting with them. So now we got Back to Nebraska, we got Hitch a Ride, we got Good Right Here. Good Right Here, maybe my favorite Letters Cleo song of all. 4-Leaf Clover, which is a special place in my heart and tattoo on my back. Got my Letters to Cleo tattoos here, including Kay's handwriting. I will have to run off screen in a bit. There's one piece of memorabilia I forgot that I must show in a bit.
We're good. We can stick it in there.
We'll get there.
Well, let me ask you that before you even do that. How does the EP compare? Because there is a big span of time. They reconvene, they record the EP. How does it compare to what came before?
It is an evolution. In my opinion, songwriting is just as strong. Stronger, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't sound like Wholesale Meat and Fish. It does have the influence of it, but there's a maturity there, and I'm not saying the other stuff sounds immature. Back to Nebraska sounds like it's darker. Put it this way, Hitch a Ride is a nostalgia trip. Let's talk about like when we were younger, let's hitch a ride, go back to there. That is a song of like, we're going to sing a song about when we were younger.
Mm-hmm.
Back to Nebraska is, I wish we could go back to our baseline. I wish we could go back. It borders on Torch, but it's not.
Okay.
But it is a very mournful song. I mean, that's the one that gets you in the feels. They opened with it last year, and an acoustic version, and there was barely a dry eye in the house. That is a brutally moving song. 4-Leaf Clover sounds in every good way exactly like it could have been off Wholesale Meats and Fish or Warehaus. It is as infused with Letters to Cleo energy and pop. It is 4-Leaf Clover is one of the best power pop songs I've heard in the last 15 years.
That's saying something.
if there was still great pop music, this will get either love or hate. If there was still great pop music on, well, what passes for radio these days, being released regularly and often
Hmm.
en masse, that would be a number one single.
Okay. That's pretty high praise there, Paul.
All earned.
All
All
right.
earned.
Well,
Four Leaf Clover is the strongest of their new material. I would say by far, but the new material is all strong in my opinion.
okay.
So I'll say that amidst the field of new music that I've heard of late, as far as power pop goes, Four Leaf Clover is just
Phenomenal.
as good as it gets.
Okay.
In every
Cool.
good way.
Well,
Now, that being said,
I'll continue my search for it. I don't know if I can ever find it for a decent price, but
well, you're my friend. I'll probably send you mine. I'll give you
well,
I'll give you
okay.
one of my spares.
Well, then I guess I won't have to search.
Yeah, no, I'll give you one.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah. Now, that being said, because I have a lot of emotional ties to this material, Good Right Here. Guys, if you're watching this, please play Good Right Here more often. I've got one live version of it, only one. Please play Good Right Here more often.
So they don't play it that often live?
I've seen it once. Now, one of the shows I was at, they actually were taking requests from us. More on Me did not. They played what I asked them to play. I yelled it. There was a crowd of 60 people. I was one of them.
Mhm.
I yelled the last song of the night. They played it. And I even have Stacey's sticks from said performance. He gave them to me. I'll be sending you pictures. You'll be showing the picture of Jennifer and Stacey.
Mhm.
Stacey will. I have one stick. Jennifer's got the other one. Stacey's in between us with these sticks. But it wasn't Good Right Here. I will always regret not asking them to play Good Right Here that night. I should have, and I did. So I didn't see it live. I found it on YouTube, very obscurely buried.
Mm.
So, yeah, but these are where we at.
Real drumsticks. Very nice.
Yeah. So, thank you, Stacey.
Yeah, I love that.
Asked for him, and he just went, there you go.
Yeah, have some sticks. Well, hey, I love that. That's incredible.
So, the 2016 tour, they do every year from 2016 forward, not counting the pandemic. They've done a homecoming tour where they'll do a couple shows, whether it was LA or Chicago in 2016 or Pawtucket. I'll show a couple, send a couple pictures to you to display, or Maine one year. This year it was Brooklyn, then back to their home at the Paradise Rock Club in Boston. And I've traveled all over to see them. I've driven, I've flown. The only thing I haven't done is ride a horse. Stay tuned next year, maybe. But
well, you know what, Paul, if you're going to ride a horse, please report back, because I do want to report that you're riding a horse to the gig.
Well, it's usually the week before Thanksgiving, so it might be a little cold for that, but who knows?
Wear a coat.
Right. So, but in 2016, when they played Chicago, that's where the Cubs had just won. So they had these made up on the fly. They actually opened that show at the Double Door with I met her that night, but a jazz singer from Chicago named Jennifer Hall, who I since became good friends with. She's an amazing singer. So I met her that night and we became friends. She's still out there absolutely knocking out of the park. But Kay comes out and opens with Go Cubs Go, and then breaks into Demon Rock. Great way to knock the show out. It was amazing. I went to the meet and greet that night with a group of friends, and that's actually where, now this is the next night. Went to the meet and greet with a group of friends, but my friend Jim and I went. It was supposed to also be Jim's then wife and my friend Jennifer. Jim's wife wasn't feeling all that good. Jennifer was running late and was kind of a little bit nervous. Well, I mentioned that I'd really gotten in them in 2016 because Jennifer was a diehard fan and wanted to go and was chomping at the bit for a chance to meet them. So I got into them as much as possible because I, being the extrovert and knowing that there was a meet and greet, said, hey, yes, let's do the meet and greet. And I'm not shy. I'd be happy to help break the ice. She bails on that. Well, everybody was really friendly and signing stuff and all that. And the band was so nice and so genuinely cool. And we're talking about movies and it turns out one of Greg's favorite movies was one of my favorite movies, and he recommended I watch Fifth Element because I hadn't watched it, and he knew what Manhunter was with the Michael Mann flick, and it turned out that since Mike Eisenstein had played on and Stacey Jones had played on Nina Gordon's first solo album, Tonight and the Rest of My Life, so we were talking about that. Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's another mistake I made. I've seen that CD in the bins.
That is an amazing album.
I didn't pick it up.
I actually got the next night, which is part of this story, I actually got them to sign my copy of that, which was very cool. So, and then, well, I will forget in the midst of the story to tell this. So that second night, Mike actually texted Nina and then with a picture of him signing it. So that was pretty cool too. So
I love that.
So I was trying to get the guts to ask Jennifer out. And in the meantime, while we're all yapping, the band asked if we wanted to go see them the next night at the Virgin Hotel Penthouse for an exclusive show. And so I needed a date. So I asked Jennifer, and that was our first date. So that was pretty neat. Exclusive
that is
show.
Pretty neat.
So
yeah, can't beat that. Holy crap.
And just to give you an idea of how cool they are, the piece of memorabilia I will have to run and grab so I can show and you can edit so there won't be a pause is for Valentine's Day that following year, our song became 4-Leaf Clover, and they were nice enough after made a donation to charity, all that good stuff. Kay hand wrote the lyrics to 4-Leaf Clover out for us and dedicated it to us.
How cool is that?
Yeah. So they're good people. They're good people.
I love it. Yeah, definitely.
So
lucky you.
One of the tattoos I'm actually sporting is a line from that song in Kay's handwriting. So along here it says, real small, but it says, "You can't have enough love in life." So I've got Kay's writing right there. So kind of
take a little bit of Kay with you every day.
Yeah, and that song too. So
well, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
cool. God dang.
So to get back to the band. So yeah, get back. And before I forget, also another time I went and saw them in Rhode Island with my friend Brian, who unfortunately, my friend Brian Palmer, dear friend of mine, who has since passed on. He and I went and saw them in Rhode Island in 2018. Forgive me, 2019. But he had oxygen. The band was very, very gracious. Let us sit immediately up front, whole show. That was funny because not only did we get to do just a meet and greet and hang out, band after the show, talked to us for like an hour, took pictures, all that. So we have pictures with the band from then as well. But there was a person who was had a little bit too much to drink, get a little bit unruly. Security was keeping an eye out. Person was throwing dollar bills and screaming song names. Security tried to reach the person, couldn't get to him in time. So yours truly put an arm around him and said, "You know what? I think you've had a little bit too much. Let's go talk over here." And then that stalled him enough for security to get over and kindly escort the gentleman away from the stage. So after this show, they're like, "Thank you." So a good time was had by all.
All coming in like a superhero. What can you say?
Nah, like a cooler. Just used to like, let's talk.
Can we just have a moment?
But yeah, so a lot of good times. So
let me ask you this, since we're kind of looking, it's just we're just kind of looking at their career and looking at all the records. Is their catalog it's not the biggest catalog on the planet. No. If we're going to try to turn somebody on to Letters to Cleo, what would you recommend for them to get started? Because I don't know if they have is there a best of album? Was there ever a best? No. It's very limited. They've never even had like a compilation of any sort.
All I can really do is rank them, and
give me a ranking. That's fine.
And please understand, obviously, whatever ends up being fourth, because I have to put back to Nebraska, and actually I didn't even get to it, and I'm not going to. But OK Christmas came out in 2019.
Yeah. Well, you can talk about that.
Yeah, well, real quick, just 4 songs. You got Father Christmas from the Kinks, Miss You This Christmas original, If I Get Home on Christmas Day and Christmas Time, Sure Don't Feel Like. If nothing else, the takeaways, their lyrics have always been slightly dark and slightly existential, but wrapped up in a power pop, almost contradictory sound. That's something we haven't said yet.
So is that considered an EP or like a
It is
4-track
considered an
12?
EP, and they actually have 2 songs. I don't want to lose track of this before we start rapping. They actually have a 2-song. Well, the physical single or physical vinyl, I believe, is going to be at the shows, and then anything left over will go online or Record Store Day. But Batman and It's Sunny Outside are the 2 ones just came out. They're on streaming as well. But their sound is, while it's power pop, read those lyrics. Dark sometimes.
Yeah, Okay Christmas is not cheap either.
Well, and so, but sticking with the 3 main albums we talked about and Back to Nebraska, this I can't be objective about, but that's okay. Feel free to take my opinion and light it on fire. This is purely subjective. I can't be objective on these.
And I bet a lot of your choices could fluctuate. It could be Aurora one day, and one day it could be
Rush. It's going to change weekly.
Right, same kind of thing. It depends upon your mood and what you're into. I get it.
Yeah. So what
would be your ranking just today? Or just if someone wants to get into the band and take a look, what do you say the gateway drug
because
is?
it's closest to what they're doing now.
Okay.
And especially because of what they are doing now, which is they've been writing since pre-pandemic. And then because of the pandemic, plans got all changed up. They are still making music. They are working towards an album with Bill Loeffler producing.
Oh, cool.
They're heading that direction. So they are an active band. They are putting stuff together. That they're not broken up. They are together. So it's a process. They have other things going, but they are an active band. I really love Back to Nebraska, but that is so subjective. It's so important to me that.
Plus, it's hard to get for some. I don't know if it's even streaming. I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't stream.
I don't know. I don't stream. But I mean, the other ones you can probably find them in the wild or on Discogs.
Absolutely.
Nebraska though isn't cheap. So
I really love Wholesale Meats and Fish. I really,
too.
really, really do. Aurora Borealis, very close. Then Go, but again, it's not like Go's the bottom. Something has to be 4th in that list, so Go's there. But that's not because Veda Very Shining's off Go, and that's one of their best songs, hands down.
Yep.
Anchor is on Go, and so there's no something has to be 4th.
Yeah, I think Wholesale is. I think that's where everything came together.
Yeah,
and everything's great on it. I don't see anything weak on there at all. And Go's just as good, but there's something about the sound on Wholesale. Maybe it's the vibe. Maybe I can't put my finger on it, but there's something about that record where when you listen to it, everything congeals and it just seems like it just kind of comes together.
Yep.
It's just like magic. I can't tell you what it is. You just have to listen to it. Go out there and try to find these records and give them a shot, for crying out loud. You know, Aurora is going to be the easiest one to find because that was the biggest seller. If you go through the bins, I'm not even sure if it's still in print.
Still, the reprints are.
Okay. Well, there you go. You can still get it. Now, Wholesale and
Get it from the band. Go on their store online.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So you know more about it than I do. Go to the band's website.
Yeah, find them on Facebook
and support the band some.
Yes, buy them directly from the band where possible.
Thank you, Paul.
Absolutely.
So there you go. But you know what? Just go with what we're saying. These records are worth picking up.
Oh yeah.
Just go support them. Go to the website and get it. Yeah.
Do you miss rock and roll? Enough said.
That pretty much sums it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love all these records. You know, I feel bad because, well, you know, I knew that first record and I just sold it years ago and it just went off the radar. The other two I just happened to find in the bins.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm not sitting here like, oh, I've loved them all along. No, it took me decades. So I'm not sitting in here like some kind of.
I feel bad the fact that I've let some of this great music pass by me, but you know what?
But you're catching
on this trip you're on in life. There are so many bands. There are so many legacy bands and old bands that I have yet to even tapped into it all. People always go, well, Grant, what new bands do you listen to? Well, I go, oh, not really too much. There's so many old bands that I'm still trying to catch up with.
And how lucky are we that bands we love that have been around, or legacy bands, or however you want to call them, that are still making great new music? Think about it. You're talking about Styx, and you're loving their newer stuff. You're
I
talking
love
about
those two new
Ranger.
Styx records.
That's what I'm saying. Back to Nebraska is my favorite release of theirs.
Mm-hmm.
The two new songs, Bad Man and It's Sunny Outside, are great. I do love Back to Nebraska more for now, but these are brand new songs. They're going to grow. So,
of course. Mm-hmm.
And they're working towards, they said they've got enough material for an entire album. Yes, I just heard that on an interview last week. This is the first I've heard it.
Oh, good. Cool.
So I'm drooling. Bad Man, I heard 2 years ago. They road test these songs.
Mm-hmm.
So can't wait.
So more from Letters to Cleo down the road.
Absolutely.
Can't beat that. Well, anyway, go to their website, check them out. We have really nothing to do with the band, just fans. We like the music. And here in the Warehaus, we're trying to turn you on to stuff that maybe you might not have heard, maybe something that, like I said, there's so much that's just slipped through my fingers that maybe I've seen it back in the day. I haven't seen it in years. And I just maybe I was aware of it, but life gets in the way, kids, blah, 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 blah. So now's the time to revisit it. So go check it out. Go to their website, support the band. I mean, we're all about supporting these musicians. Go ahead and check out their website, support them, buy the records, give a listen. And if you've heard these, down below, we do want to hear from you, because Paul will look at the comments. I'll look for the comments. We will respond. So we do want to hear from you. Let us know what you think of this record. Let us know what you think of this band. So I don't know. I'm not sure what else we can say, Paul.
I think that'll cover it.
And like I always say, we always keep it loose in the Warehaus. It's all about just talking music. And wherever the conversation goes, I'm good, But yes, please, everybody, check out this band. So please subscribe. Check out Paul. He's over on Rush Fans. Check out that channel. You'll see more of Paul on this channel because we have oh my God. We have
so many things
planned. So yeah, he'll be on this channel. Check him out on Rush Fans. Check out Rush Fans just in general. I don't know. You have anything else you need to plug real quick before we sign off?
No, we'll be back with Todd. We'll be back with Eric. We'll be back with ourselves.
Yeah, it's an ongoing process. But yeah, check out our Todd Evans was here. We did a Styx episode on Kilroy. Paul, we're here with Eric. We talked about Mr. Mister.
Yep.
Check it out, kids. It's all down below. So anyway, thank you for coming on, Paul. We will do it again. Go to that. Please check out Letters to Cleo. Please, people. All right, we'll see you. Please subscribe. You know the whole routine. And we will see you on the next one.